I get a feeling it's going to be a riot.
I don't read the newspapers because they all have ugly print.
At the starting of the week, at Sunday talks, you'll hear them speak. It's only Monday. Negotiations breaking down. See the leaders start to frown. It's more than Monday.
We are back with another edition of your favorite morning show, The Daily Dose on the Guerrilla Radio Network.
We'll be sitting, making lunch. The news will hit you like a punch. It's only Tuesday.
What's happening?
Ask your doctor if the Daily Dose is right for you. Common side effects include sarcasm, informed opinions, and wondering how the hell these people got elected. The Daily Dose starts now.
What's happening?
Good morning, my friends. Good to see you as always. Welcome to the Friday, August 21st edition of your Daily Dose. And it's Friday, so you know what that means. It's time to talk about the scumbags, because that's what we do on Fridays on your Daily Dose. We have a special edition of our weekly show every Friday. We dedicate it to all the scumbags that are out in the world. And I'll tell you what, I've got a few scumbags to talk about today. And when I say they're scumbags, they are real, bona fide scumbags. Right here on the Guerrilla Radio Network, your Daily Dose. Kind of looks like my arm is shivering back there in the background, but it's not. It's the effect from the camera. So for all of you that are watching now, or maybe a little bit later, no, I do not have early onset Parkinson's disease. That's just the shimmering of the camera in the background. No cause for alarm. We've got some good stuff for you today, as we always do. We've got crazy lunatics wearing Chucky masks. We have Trump talking about God knows what. And maybe somebody can help me out with this and figure out what the fuck this guy's talking about. We've got an update on the Jennifer Odom case, a Roblox creator that he's a real scumbag. Got a little bit of that car crash news coming from New York. And of course, we have the daily local Palm Harbor, Tampa Bay, and surrounding area weather brought to you by the Fox 13 Weather Center. So without delay, let's go ahead and get to the show, because I do have a lot to cover today, and I'm going to move quickly so we can keep this under the allotted time frame that I give myself on a daily basis. So here's your local weather, and like I always say with a disclaimer, if you don't live in the Tampa Bay area, this does not apply to you. Fuck yourselves and go get a cup of coffee. Come back in 3 minutes.
Wednesday, we hit 97 here in Tampa. Yesterday, didn't that feel nicer? It was 89 degrees with the cloud cover hanging around. So it did. I went for a walk yesterday and I didn't sweat all that much. So we're going back to the 90s, folks, from here on out, more than likely, but in more normal August heat. Rather than a heat index of 110, it's going to be closer to 100. Still hot, though. Since the 6th of August, we've had exactly 0.12 inches of rain at the airport. Look how much we had in the first week. We were so far ahead. And now if we don't get any rain today, we'll actually be below normal for the month of August. And overall, we're still 6 inches of rain below normal for the year. So we need a lot more. You know, we got a month left of the rainy season, month and a half tops. So we need to start cranking out some more showers. We do have some rain this morning, but look how fast it gets eaten up. I mean, this is the interesting thing. As these showers and storms develop with the onshore wind, they bump up against the coast and they just start to fall apart very early in the morning. Not a lot of energy over land. The energy's out over the Gulf, and then they just kind of run into that. They kind of kaput. But as we get to the morning into the early afternoon, we will get more of these to pop up and get better chance of them surviving as they move inland during the afternoon. However, 60%, that's the normal rain chance. We're at 30, for today, and really 30% all weekend long. Some lower 80s along the coast, a lot of mid to upper 70s inland, and it's a quiet start to the day. Just heads up for a few of those little pop-up showers and storms as we're going through the afternoon. We're kind of stuck in between big areas of high pressure. One to the west, one to the east. It's given a little dip right here in what we call a trough, an elongated area of low pressure. And as that kind of rolls into the area on Sunday, you may notice a few more thunderstorms, right? Because we're not getting all that sinking air with high pressure sitting on top of us. But other than that, it's just there's a shower here and a shower there, and it's all well and good. But that doesn't really help when you're sitting in an extreme drought. And we still have 9% of our state in an extreme drought in the middle of August, right? We thought we'd be done with this by now, but things have been slowing up a little bit. That's the issue. One area of interest in the tropics, and it's not even really an area of interest. Here's Bermuda. There's a little tiny cluster of storms to the southeast of Bermuda, which the Hurricane Center's given a 20% chance for development. Now, even if it was to develop, it's going to drift kind of southwest like it's doing now, and then it's going to race back to the north again next week, and it's gone. So absolutely nothing to be concerned about there. Elsewhere, things are quiet in the tropics. So 92 today. We'll feel like 100 or so, but it's below the heat advisory criteria, which is why we're not in one. Warm and soupy tonight with a low of 80 degrees. A few little pop-up showers and storms. Tomorrow will be rolling their way inland like they do, with a high in the lower 90s. Boaters, a light chop on the coastal waters, but be mindful because all weekend long, west, southwest winds, you get a little pop-up shower first thing in the morning. Don't be caught off guard for that. Next 7 days, relatively quiet, 30 to 40% rain chances with highs in the lower 90s.
So nothing's changed. It's all the same down here in Florida, in the Tampa area. It's just hot, muggy, humid, blah, blah, blah. Same old thing. Thank you to the Fox 13 Weather Center for providing us with that valued information so we can plan our day accordingly. Plan when to go walk the dogs, maybe take an afternoon stroll. You don't want to do it in the middle of the afternoon because it's going to be very hot, humid, and disgusting as it usually is. Now, without any further delay, let's get into the part of the show that does not have to deal with scumbags. Just a quick update on the Penn State cocaine ring that happened last week. Apparently, they've been charged, and the father is a predominant attorney apparently up in the area where the son went to school. So he's being looked at, and he's under investigation because he was stashing cash for his son, and he was also stashing cocaine and other drugs in his home safe. So this guy, I guess you could consider him a scumbag. I don't know. He kind of fits the criteria a little bit, but he didn't really endanger or hurt anyone directly, maybe indirectly, if they lace that cocaine with fentanyl. But so, yeah, here's a little bit about that.
Now to that massive drug bust involving two fraternities at Penn State University. 13 current and former students are charged in connection with an off-campus cocaine ring. Authorities allege senior members of the Delta Upsilon and Sigma Chi fraternities ran the operation inside their houses between 2023 and 2024. They say the suspects brought in kilos of cocaine from Philadelphia and New York and used new pledges to cut and package the drugs. Penn State released this statement saying it is horrified by the allegations and is cooperating with law enforcement.
I wonder what's a bigger scandal for Penn State. I would assume that the Dirty Sandusky scandal with the football team and the young men would be bigger than this cocaine scandal. But I can only assume that this is another big one for them as well. Did you see the cocaine that's on that table? I mean, that's a party right there. You know what I mean? That's a party all in itself. These guys were absolutely killing it, apparently, with their cocaine ring, and they were making money probably hand over fist. So, so they all got charged. They're probably going to be facing quite a bit of time in the local penitentiary in Penn State. And then, and then we'll see what happens with the father. I'd like to keep you updated as that story progresses along the way because it's intriguing that these kids were able to pull this massive cocaine ring together and dumb enough to get busted at the same time. Apparently, the one kid, Thomas Robinson, was the ringleader. He was so stupid. He was using his own name on the Venmo account for students to Venmo him money for his cocaine distribution. He was using the name T-Rob. That was his assumed drug dealing name. Very creative because his actual name is Thomas Robinson. So he got real creative with that, really keep the heat off his back. And then he was using the name Thomas Robinson as his Venmo handle so that he could receive payments for the cocaine distribution. So smart enough to put a ring together, make it big enough like that, dumb enough to get caught in a stupid way. Good job, Thomas Robinson. Yeah, I got nothing. I got nothing more. Now, let's get into the scumbag news reports for the day. This story's been all over the news within the past couple of days. Apparently, this guy wearing a Chucky mask has been running around and terrifying people on their morning jogs as they're jogging through the streets of Philadelphia, in the words of the great Bruce Springsteen. So what he's doing is he's putting on a Chucky mask and then he's terrorizing women in the morning. And apparently we don't know why. We don't have a reason. We don't have any type of information leading up to why he would do such a horrible act. But you got to imagine, you're just out in your morning jog and then somebody comes racing up behind you wearing a Chucky mask of all things and chases you. This guy's obviously got some serious mental issues, or he's just trying to get TikTok famous, probably going to post his videos on TikTok. Who knows what the motivation was in order to pull this off. But here's a little bit about that story. And apparently they've identified the suspect as well. This clip does not show his name, but it definitely shows his shenanigans that he's been up to.
Police in Philadelphia are searching for a masked man investigators say has been terrorizing people. And we have some new video of one instance where the man is seen running after a woman. ABC's Armando Garcia has more from another person who came up close to that suspect and tried to fight him off.
This disturbing video showing a masked man chasing after a runner around 5:30 a.m. near City Hall in Philadelphia last Wednesday. Police say the man in a Chucky-style Halloween mask taunted the woman.
He's holding his cell phone up in front of her, at which time he asks her, "Are you ready to die?"
The runner was able to get away after police say the man, who they believe is between 16 and 20 years old, abruptly changed his direction and ran into a rail station. Police say the man chased several people within a 15-minute span. One woman told our ABC station in Philadelphia she spotted the man approaching a runner who was wearing headphones.
I started to wave at her across from the intersection and say, "Hey, there's someone behind you."
Jamaica, who asked not to use her last name, says the man then turned his attention to her. Jamaica says she screamed for help, kicked him in the chest, and was prepared to try to fight him off.
He just seemed so disoriented about what his goals actually were. Like, I had bags, he wasn't reaching for those. It didn't seem like he had a clear goal to actually get in La Colombe to do anything. So I was like, okay, well, let's see if you can fight, and he couldn't.
Police believe the man attempted to antagonize at least 6 people, including men and employees at nearby businesses, and indicated he had a weapon, but witnesses have not reported seeing one.
If caught, police say the suspect is facing multiple charges, including terroristic threats, simple assault, and intimidation. Armando Garcia, ABC News, New York.
How about that? So this guy's just running around the streets, just chasing women for no reason at 5:30 in the morning. And heck, you know what? Good job to that girl. I think they said her name was Tamika, the one they were interviewing. I mean, she's a tough cookie, that one there, isn't she? That's all the kids are saying that these days when they refer to their friends that are a little bit tougher than the others. That's a real tough cookie right there. She is definitely. I mean, she kicked the fucking guy right in the chest and said, "Let's go, let's dance, motherfucker." And then what does he do? He just runs off in the other direction. So yeah, this guy, he definitely, as that girl said, he wasn't out to rob or to cause any type of harm, apparently, because all he was doing was just chasing these women in the morning and then just running off in other directions. So the only goal that he had in his mind was just to scare the shit out of people for no reason. And remember that story? It's been quite a few years. It reminds me of that story when everybody was dressing up like clowns and all these creepy clowns just kept popping up out of nowhere and they were freaking people out for no reason whatsoever. I remember thinking to myself, God, I want that to happen to me. I really do. I want to be driving down the street or I want to be going out on a walk and I want to have some douchebag in a creepy clown costume come out and try to scare me while I'm out and about doing my business. And I'd like to see what happened if that were ever to happen to me. Not saying I would, go and beat the guy down or anything like that. I mean, that's a good possibility, But, you know, I'd like to see what my reaction would be, because you just don't know what your reaction would be until you're actually in that situation. And I know that my reaction wouldn't be to run. It would be more along the lines of, what the fuck is wrong with you, you moron? You know, that would be my initial interaction with that person. Do you really think that you're going to scare me by wearing a creepy clown mask? That's what I would say. And then we'll see what happened after that. But that would be my initial reaction if I were ever confronted by a creepy clown or a gentleman wearing a Chucky mask. Of course, this guy doesn't chase men wearing the Chucky mask because he's too much of a pussy to do so. But the clowns were terrorizing everyone, men, women, and children alike. So, yeah, this story definitely reminds me of that. And that happened, I'd say that was well over 10 years ago, I think, if I'm not mistaken, my timeline. I've kind of forgotten about that story. It's been so long now, but it was definitely a good one. It was all over the news. So there you go. This guy, scumbag number one of the day. Number one scumbag. So not number one, not the scumbag of the day, but he's the first scumbag that we've decided to talk about on this Scumbag Friday edition of your Daily Dose on the Guerrilla Radio Network. Now, let's go to scumbag number 2. This guy, he's a real piece of shit. He's a real piece of shit. All right. So I don't know if you guys remember the story, but it's been all over the news as of late. Jennifer Odom, back in 1993, poor little girl getting off the school bus, waving goodbye to her friends, gets scooped up by some scumbag unknown at the time. And then they found her, I want to say a week later, if I remember correctly, they found her a week later, her dead body that of course was naked and raped. You know, didn't see that one coming. You know what? Again, fucking scumbag. You know what I mean? This guy is our second scumbag of the day. He just got convicted of the 1993 murder. And finally, the family will be able to have some peace knowing that the person that raped and killed their daughter is now being served a healthy portion of American justice.
Well, a man in Hernando County has been found guilty of a decades-old murder. It took a jury a little over 5 hours to convict Jeffrey Crum of the kidnapping, sexual battery, and murder of 12-year-old Jennifer Odom. Fox 13's Kylie Jones was inside that courtroom when the verdict was read. She joins us now live right outside the courtroom with the very latest on that. Kylie, I can imagine it had to have been very emotional in there.
Allie, extremely emotional. Just walking in before the verdict was even read, Jennifer Odom's family and friends were already in tears. You could hear a pin drop in that courtroom, though. It was packed as that verdict was read. Now, Jennifer Odom's family and friends held each other and were in tears as Jeffrey Crum was found guilty on all counts. The lead detective even got emotional as he heard the word guilty. Now, throughout this week, the jury heard testimony and details from attorneys about how Jennifer disappeared from her bus stop in Pasco County back in 1993. She was just 12 years old. Several students said they saw her get off the bus and get into a blue truck, but she was never seen again. Jennifer's body was later found in a wooded area in Hernando County. Prosecutors said about 2 years after that, Jennifer's backpack and clarinet case were found in a different rural area. Now, fast forward to 2015, technology used DNA from Jeffrey Crum's son to identify Crum as the suspect in a similar case that happened a year before Jennifer's death. A 17-year-old girl was kidnapped from a bus stop in Pasco County and sexually assaulted. Now, it wasn't until 2023 detectives were able to link Crum to Jennifer's case. During closing statements this morning, the state went back to testimony from Crum's own son about the musical instrument he said his father gave him around the time of Jennifer's death.
How painful must it have been to get in the stand, look over at his father, and say the things that he said about his father. You saw that pain when I showed him that clarinet case and the clarinet, and he struggled when that realization hit him. Those statements that the defendant made to him years earlier about I did Jennifer Odom, now they have context.
The defense called out the credibility of the witnesses throughout the trial, though, who said Crum confessed, arguing they were convicted felons. The defense also pointed to what it called a lack of evidence in this case and witnesses to the actual crime.
You cannot use proof that a man committed one crime to just assume as proof that he did another one.
Now, Crum is serving 2 life sentences on that 1992 case, but this trial isn't over yet. He's facing either life in prison or the death penalty, so there will have to be a separate sentencing phase since the death penalty is involved. The penalty phase will start on Monday morning at 8:30.
So there you have it, folks. They finally got the guy, and he was already in prison serving life terms for the first offense. And I'll tell you what, I mean, it looks like the entire family is just completely fucked up in the head. Did you see the son, for God's sake? Of course, the son is a convicted felon as well, wearing an orange jumpsuit with tattoos all over his face as well. So not that the facial tattoos have anything to do with his criminal ongoing problems, but they're definitely indicative of the style and the type of person that he may be, because he's an asshole. He's a convicted felon as well, and his father is a complete scumbag. So he comes home one day, he kills this girl back in 1993, kidnaps her, rapes her, throws her body into a wooded area in Hernando County, which is pretty much in my backyard for the most part. Hernando County is about a 45-minute drive from where I live right now in Pasco County. He takes her body, throws it into the wooded area, and then takes her clarinet and presents it to his son as a gift. What? I mean, that is just that's ridiculous. You know what I mean? That's crazy that he tried to do an act of kindness out of such a vile act of horror that he had just committed previously. It's amazing to me the way that these criminals' minds work and how they operate, and they can justify their own actions in their head with the horrific acts that they commit. And, you know, how can you, as a defense attorney, you know the fucking guy is completely guilty. You know what I mean? There's no doubt about it. How can you get up there as a defense attorney and defend a scumbag like that and try to spin the case and make it seem as though he's innocent? You know what I mean? It just, that doesn't, you can't, as a defense attorney for a criminal that's apparently, you know, committed horrific acts as such, you have to have zero moral compass, and the only thing you're out for in life is a cash money grab. That's the only thing that could motivate anyone to defend such a scumbag of that nature. It's amazing to me how these attorneys get up there and they can actually use their schooling, use their knowledge, and then use their way of manipulation, apparently, to convince a jury that this man is not guilty when clearly he's very guilty and should be dealt with in a swift manner, as I always say on the Daily Dose. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. Let's go ahead and take a quick commercial break. Let's hear a word from our sponsors at Dubby Energy. Here we go. W Energy, clean, no jitters, no crash, just focus and all natural energy. Enter the promo code Gorilla Radio at checkout for 10% off your entire order and exclusive member discounts. W Energy, lock in, stay sharp, and dominate your day. W Energy. Every day I talk about it. Every day, the W Energy resonates in my brain, and it gets better and better. No crash, no jitters. If you like gaming for 18 hours a day and being an unproductive member of society, if you enjoy going to the gym and working out like a maniac, getting your pump on, use some W Energy. I'll tell you why. It gives you pure focus if you're that 18-hour-a-day gamer. It gives you energy if you're that guy or gal that loves to go to the gym on a daily basis and work out. W Energy, no jitters, no crash. enter the promo code Guerrilla Radio at checkout for 10% off, and I will personally give you that discount. Guerrilla Radio at checkout, 10% off your entire order. W Energy, just do it. I remember Nike used to say, just do it. Now I'm using that phrase for Dubby. So I don't know. Maybe I'll get sued. We'll see what happens. Get in line, motherfuckers. Let's get into something a little bit more lighthearted on the show today. And by lighthearted, I mean cars that are driving extremely fast in the busy downtown streets of Manhattan, New York, crashing into everyone around them, almost killing pedestrians, and then running from the scene. This is not quite as bad as the other stories, but it's definitely worthy of a scumbag report.
We turn our attention now to the new details in that high-speed crash in Inwood. A pedestrian nearly killed when a Corvette and a Mercedes-Benz collided in an intersection.
The driver of the Corvette is in custody, but police, they're still looking for the driver of the Mercedes. Neighbors there say the area has become a dangerous hotspot for drag racing.
Eyewitness News reporter Shantae Lands live in Inwood. Shantae?
Well, Sandra and David, 4 people were hurt here near this intersection. In fact, it was a 34-year-old man who was one of them. He was trying to enter this crosswalk when he was struck after that intersection crash. It's the dangerous intersection collision that could have claimed multiple lives.
Every day, Honda my power, and nobody care.
Watch again. A speeding Corvette crashes with a black Mercedes SUV, strikes a pedestrian before landing on the side of this corner store just after 6:30 this morning at the intersection of Sherman Avenue and West 204th Street. Seconds later, police arrive on scene. It was like an explosion. I was scared. Corner store worker Martin Trinidad was inside the building where the Corvette landed. Surveillance video captures him walking out to check out the scene as another man tells the Corvette driver to stay in his car. I remember grabbing onto this. The car was coming straight at me. I thought it was going to hit me. Miraculously, none of the drivers or the Corvette's passenger were seriously hurt. But a 34-year-old pedestrian was hurt, taken to Harlem Hospital in stable condition. The Benz struck an unoccupied moped. Police say that driver ran, but the driver of the Corvette is now in custody. People living in this Inwood neighborhood are frustrated and outraged.
Oh my!
Wow, what a disaster that is, huh? That just happened a couple of days ago. It was on the news. As I was finishing up the show, I looked up at the television. I saw that breaking news on Fox News, but I was unable to cover it at the time because I was wrapping the show up and the ending song was already on. But I believe that crash happened 2 days ago, if I'm not mistaken. What a mess. Did you see how many cars were damaged because of that? And they say later, I wasn't going to play the whole clip because it's a little bit lengthy, but they said later on in that clip that there's donut marks in the middle of the intersection. So you could clearly see that Corvette was doing donuts before it ran that what looks like a red light and smashed into that Mercedes. What I don't understand about that story is that Mercedes SUV that you saw it crash into was clearly not involved with any type of a street race or a drag race with this Corvette. So why did the driver of that Mercedes run? He must have had something to hide, and he must have had something unsavory that he was doing in his vehicle that prompted him to get out of the crashed vehicle and then run. So he's still being looked for as we speak right now. No one knows why he ran, but that guy that drove that Corvette, I think you can probably take that Corvette down to the local Econo body shop and they may be able to fix it, put in an insurance claim, pay his $500 deductible and get that thing repaired. It looked as though it's absolutely repairable. What an idiot. You know what I mean? Down the street in the middle of the morning. It was 8:30 in the morning, 9 o'clock in the morning. Pedestrians are out. It's Manhattan. People walk everywhere. You know what I mean? They have public transportation to get from A to B, but then they have to walk to get to C when they get off of, the B, for lack of a better term. And this fucking scumbag is just driving down the street in excess of 100 miles an hour, clearly no regard for human safety whatsoever, and decides to crash his vehicle into another vehicle, which is going an opposite direction of him, and then almost kill everyone in the process. And as always, the driver survives. So Luckily, no one got killed in that crash, but a few people were definitely injured. And it's just like, yeah, like I said, it's like these idiots on last night, as a matter of fact, I'm driving home. I'm at the red light, waiting for it to turn green, and a couple of idiots on a motorcycle just pull up next to me in my lane and pull up just a little bit farther so that they can get the edge on my car and take off first to race down the street. I want to see them crash and burn. You know what I mean? That's all I want. It would make my day so much better if I saw these idiots just crash and burn and put their dumbasses to bed indefinitely. That would be awesome. It would literally make my day. But I have not seen that as of yet. Now, can someone please explain to me, gosh, my show's run along today. I'm sorry. Can someone please explain to me what the fuck Donald Trump is talking about in this clip? I don't understand what the hell he's talking about. And for some reason, he's just rambling and rambling and rambling about transgenders and microchips. And I have no idea what the fuck he's talking about.
The chips. We had this ridiculous CHIPS Act where you give billions of dollars to a company and they didn't even know what the hell to do with it. You give them billions of dollars, they say they're going to build. Nobody knew what to do with it. And of course, the standards were so high. If you weren't transgender, as an example, you didn't qualify. So they get the money, they'd look all over for transgender people to run the company, large portions. They couldn't find them. They weren't into the chip making business, I guess, right? They had other things on their mind. But this was the Biden fools, those idiots that almost destroyed our country. But we're also reasserting the fundamental truth to be.
What in the fuck is he rambling about? I can't. I've watched that clip probably 10 times to try to make heads and tails of what the hell he's talking about. And I, for the love of God and everything holy, have no idea what the fuck he's talking about. He's just rambling about microchips, billions of dollars given to these corporations, and they had trouble finding transgender people to run the companies. That's all I can get out of that entire clip. I have no idea where he was going with it, but I figured I would inject a little bit of levity into today's heavy Scumbag Friday show. So let's end the note on another scumbag, and this one, in my opinion, is the scumbag of the day. We have a winner. This is the scumbag of the day. Now, this is a few months old, but as I was scouring the internet for the last day or two to try to find good scumbag stories, I stumbled across this one, and I had not yet heard of it, and I figured it was worthy of a scumbag look into. And sure enough, I'm glad that I did look into it, because this scumbag wins the Scumbag of the Day award.
A Roblox programmer is now facing more charges in an ongoing child exploitation investigation. Jamie Bourne, who has already been charged with dozens of counts involving child sexual abuse material of children under 13, has now been rebooked. Prosecutors say he faces 195 additional counts, along with 2 counts of sexual abuse of an animal. Bourne appeared in criminal court yesterday, where his total bond was set at $345,000, a little more than that.
So I guess when he ran out of kids to sexually harass and exploit and sexually abuse, he turned his sights on just defenseless animals and started sexually abusing them at the same time. What a fucking scumbag, in my opinion. This guy, what the report did not say is that this guy, his total amount of charges is 238 felony counts is what he was charged. 238 felony counts. He had sexual natured things on his computer involving children. He was apparently speaking to kids in a sexual manner. He was abusing them as well, and using Roblox, the gaming platform for kids, as a way to seek and hunt these kids down and then sexually abuse them. I don't know if the animals were playing Roblox. He may have just stumbled across them in his backyard. You know, maybe the squirrel running across the fence looked too delicious and tantalizing to pass up, so he decided to turn his sights on the squirrel, possibly. And then apparently he had sexual dolls that were lifelike dolls of children in his house. Where do you even buy one of those? You know what I mean? like the manufacturer of these need to be looked into and figure out why in the hell they're even allowed to produce and sell these items for this gentleman to procure. Doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever, but he definitely is worthy of our scumbag of the day. He is the winner, everybody. The Roblox creator himself, 238 felony charges, and he's going away for a long time. And they need to castrate his ass and then shove that dick right up his asshole. His own dick right up his asshole. It's Friday, guys. You know what that means. It's time for the weekend. Got to get down to that bus stop. You know what I mean? Listen, it's been a great week. Had a really good time with you folks all week long. Sorry, I went a little bit long today with the show. I apologize. You're listening to your Daily Dose right here on the Gorilla Radio Network. Don't forget, www.dubby.gg. Use the promo code Gorilla Radio at checkout. And the Gorilla Radio Network and myself will give you a healthy 10% discount on your entire order. Follow us on all socials. Facebook, Gorilla Radio Network. Instagram, Gorilla Radio 47. Or you can like and subscribe to our YouTube channel at OG Gorilla Radio. Like I said, it's been a great week, and I'm looking forward to doing this with you again bright and early on Monday morning. Don't forget, you can also find us on all of your favorite podcast outlets as well. iHeartRadio, Apple Music. You can find us on Spotify. All previous episodes uploaded once a week, usually on Monday morning. I upload the previous week's episodes. So if you feel like you've missed anything or you don't feel like opening Facebook or just listening to me guide you through 30 minutes of your morning before you get your day started, you can always find us on any of those podcast outlets. Have a great weekend. Relax. You earned it. I'll see you on Monday.
Was Thursday, birthday, today.